Most people wake up every day knowing what they do. Some even know how they do it. But very few can clearly say why it must be done at all. And that's the difference between motion and meaning. A just cause is not a slogan. It is not a quarterly target, a viral moment, or a temporary mission. A just cause is a future that does not yet exist, but is worth every ounce of effort to build. When people lack a just cause, they drift. They chase comfort instead of contribution. They settle for success that feels empty and achievements that don't endure. But when a just cause is clear, something powerful happens. People endure sacrifice without complaint. They choose courage over convenience. They show up not because they are told to, but because they believe. History doesn't remember the loudest voices. It remembers the clearest convictions. Every movement that changed the world began with someone willing to say, "These matters more than me. This is worth protecting. This future deserves a fight." Having a just cause does not guarantee ease. It guarantees meaning. And the question we must ask ourselves right now is not whether we are capable, but whether what we are building is worthy of our lives. A just cause is not built to be won. It is built to be carried forward. Men are often taught to measure their worth by victories, titles earned, battles conquered, moments where they stand on top. Winning provides a rush, a temporary sense of identity, but the human nervous system adapts quickly. The moment the win fades, the emptiness returns, and the question resurfaces: what now? A future-focused cause removes that void by giving men something larger than the scoreboard, something that continues to call them forward even when no one is watching. Men are psychologically wired to protect and build what they believe will outlive them. When a cause is framed only around short-term success, men may perform, but they rarely commit at a soul level. From a woman's perspective, this is often why ambition without purpose feels unstable. Achievement alone does not signal safety or reliability. A man anchored to a future cause demonstrates consistency, direction, and emotional steadiness, qualities that inspire trust and respect far beyond surface success. Winning-centered thinking triggers competition, comparison, and ego defense. A just cause focused on the future activates responsibility, patience, and restraint. Men begin to see discipline not as restriction but as alignment. They tolerate discomfort longer because the pain has context. Women often recognize this shift before men do. They sense when effort is driven by fear of loss versus commitment to something meaningful. A future-oriented cause also liberates men from the pressure of perfection. When the goal is not to win, but to advance something worthy, failure becomes information instead of identity damage. Progress replaces dominance. Contribution replaces validation. And strength is redefined as the ability to stay devoted to a vision that may never reward the ego but always feeds the soul. Men will follow a vision only when they feel it matters more than the tasks that surround it. Plans are helpful. They organize, they map, they promise structure, but they do not move hearts. Men are wired to act on belief, not instruction. When a cause resonates deeply, their energy flows naturally, often beyond what logic or strategy could compel. The plan becomes secondary because the belief carries them through the friction, the doubt, and the resistance that inevitably appears along the way. Belief taps into identity. Men need to see themselves reflected in the mission they commit to. If a man cannot connect a cause to who he is or who he aspires to become, he may execute the steps, but his heart remains elsewhere. Women often perceive this quickly. They notice the difference between a man who goes through motions for approval and a man whose actions are powered by conviction. The latter inspires confidence, security, and admiration because it signals that his commitment is anchored in something enduring, not fleeting. Plans alone cannot inspire courage or loyalty. Men are drawn to stories, to convictions, to principles that demand integrity and action. A just cause becomes the gravity that pulls their focus away from distractions and trivialities. The more a cause aligns with a man's values, the more he invests not just time, but persistence, creativity, and resilience. Women observe this investment too. It is in the consistency, the emotional steadiness, and the willingness to endure discomfort for the sake of what is meaningful. When belief drives action, effort becomes effortless in a way that plans never achieve. Men act decisively because the cause is personal, immediate, and deeply relevant. Their choices reflect alignment with values rather than compliance with schedules. This creates a comfort lulls men into a sense of security that often masks stagnation. The human brain craves ease, routine, and predictability, and men are no exception. Yet meaning never emerges from the familiar or the effortless. True growth, deep contribution, and lasting fulfillment demand tension, challenge, and discomfort. Men who chase comfort may achieve temporary satisfaction, but without challenge, their victories feel hollow and their identity remains underdeveloped. Men are wired to solve problems, to overcome, to leave a mark. When comfort dominates, that wiring is suppressed, and frustration often builds beneath the surface. Women can sense this tension before it becomes conscious. A man who settles into ease without chaw. Angie may appear content on the surface, yet lacks the vitality and focus that purpose brings. Meaning is visible in action, in the willingness to endure discomfort for something larger than oneself, and women often recognize it as a signal of strength, stability, and authenticity. Comfort creates illusions of safety, but it erodes courage. Men may avoid risk, avoid confrontation, avoid the hard decisions, all in pursuit of predictable outcomes. A just cause, however, demands engagement with the unknown, the uncertain, and sometimes the painful. Men begin to discover that sacrifice is not a punishment, but a pathway to significance. Women notice this as well. The man who faces discomfort for a cause demonstrates resilience, integrity, and the capacity to prioritize what truly matters over what is merely convenient. The pursuit of meaning forces men out of familiar patterns. Each challenge becomes a mirror, reflecting not only capability but character. Comfort is seductive because it reduces friction, yet it diminishes the qualities that women instinctively admire: decisiveness, courage, and unwavering dedication to something greater than self. Men who embrace discomfort begin to see struggle not as a threat, but as a measure of their commitment to a cause that transcends the moment. Purpose never comes free. For men, the pursuit of something meaningful always carries a cost: time, comfort, ego, and sometimes relationships. Men are wired to take action, to conquer challenges, and to leave a mark, but these instincts collide with the natural desire for ease. Sacrifice is not a punishment. It is the currency of significance. Without it, effort drifts into futility, and achievements lose the weight that gives them value. Men often wrestle with the tension between personal desire and higher responsibility. Choosing purpose over comfort triggers internal resistance, doubt, and fear. Women notice this internal struggle. They see the man who prioritizes immediate gratification versus the one who invests in enduring meaning. The latter exudes a quiet strength, a sense of reliability, and an alignment between action and conviction. Sacrifice becomes the bridge between who a man is and who he aspires to be, a visible demonstration of his commitment to something beyond himself. The psychology of sacrifice is rooted in identity. Men measure themselves by their ability to endure, to withstand discomfort, and to keep faith with a vision larger than the self. Each deliberate choice to give time, energy, or resources away from comfort toward purpose reinforces resilience and focus. Women often interpret these actions as proof of character. A man willing to endure for a just cause demonstrates both courage and emotional maturity, signaling that he is grounded in principle rather than impulse. Sacrifice also reshapes priorities. Men begin to understand that what is easily gained is rarely meaningful, and what is truly valuable demands effort that stretches the body, mind, and spirit. Each act of giving, whether of attention, energy, or risk, becomes a measure of alignment with purpose, a demonstration that the cause matters more than temporary ease or validation. Clarity is the foundation of courage. Men often face a world filled with competing demands, expectations, and uncertainties, and without a clear sense of purpose, fear takes the lead. Indecision, hesitation, and doubt creep in when the path forward is obscured. Men are wired to act, but action without clarity can feel chaotic, risky, or even meaningless. When a man knows exactly why he fights, what he protects, and what he strives toward, courage flows naturally, not as a forced effort, but as an instinctive response to alignment between belief and action. A clear cause shapes identity. Men draw company, infidence, not from external validation, but from internal conviction. When a man can articulate why his work, his choices, and his sacrifices matter, he anchors himself in something enduring. Women sense this internal alignment. They notice when a man's actions are consistent with his principles and when he moves decisively even in the face of uncertainty. Clarity becomes a magnet, drawing respect and trust because it signals reliability, focus, and a readiness to face challenges without wavering. Uncertainty feeds anxiety, and men often respond by retreating into caution, avoidance, or superficial achievement. Clarity cuts through that fog. Knowing the boundaries of what matters allows men to prioritize effort, reject distractions, and confront difficult truths without being paralyzed by them. Women notice this distinction immediately. A man guided by clarity demonstrates resilience, intentionality, and a strength rooted in understanding rather than impulse. Courage is not absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it, grounded in an unmistakable understanding of why the movement matters. Clarity also amplifies sacrifice. Men are more willing to endure challenges when they understand the larger picture. When the purpose is visible, the stakes are tangible, and the benefits extend beyond self-interest, fear loses its grip. Women perceive this as emotional and psychological stability. The man who acts from clarity becomes a steady force, capable of leading, protecting, and committing without hesitation. Each decision, each risk, each moment of discomfort becomes an opportunity to align action with principle, transforming potential uncertainty into a source of courage that defines character and inspires those around him. Anything worth beginning is inherently fragile at first. Men are drawn to the thrill of creation, the challenge, the strategy, the vision. But the initial excitement can fade when the road gets difficult. Psychology teaches us those humans, especially men, are wired to conserve energy and protect themselves from uncertainty. Yet the act of building something meaningful demands more than courage to start. It requires courage to guard, to defend, and nurture it over time. Without that commitment, even the most promising endeavor can collapse under pressure or distraction. Men often underestimate the responsibility that comes with ownership. Starting a cause or a mission is exhilarating because it appeals to action and ambition, but protecting it requires a different kind of strength, patience, vigilance, and sacrifice. Women notice this difference in temperament and resolve. They see when a man invests in immediate results versus long-term stewardship. The man who understands that what he creates is worth protecting demonstrates foresight, reliability, and an inner discipline that signals maturity. Protection becomes a measure not of control, but of devotion. The psychology of men shows that risk is often associated with loss, yet meaningful pursuit always involves exposure. Men can face criticism, setbacks, or even failure, and the instinct to retreat is strong. A just cause reframes this instinct. It becomes a reason to double down rather than step back. When a man recognizes that what is worth starting is also worth defending, fear transforms into responsibility. Women perceive this as alignment between conviction and action. They recognize that his commitment is not performative. It is rooted in principle, courage, and care for something larger than self. Guarding a cause also strengthens character. Men learn resilience, endurance, and strategic thinking because challenges cannot be avoided if the mission is to survive and thrive. Sacrifice shifts from being a burden to a proof of dedication. Women sense the subtle power in this. The man who protects what he has built embodies reliability, loyalty, and purpose. Every decision, every boundary set, every risk taken to shield the work reflects not ego, but integrity. The act of protection becomes intertwined with identity, reinforcing that what truly matters is never temporary, and that enduring commitment is the truest measure of a man's strength, vision, and capacity to inspire those who look to him for guidance.